Good morning. China is aggressively building out its robotics and automation industries, while in North America and Europe, orders for automated manufacturing robotics are falling. This is counterintuitive on its face. The United States and Europe have the highest manufacturing costs in the world, particularly for factory labor, and China has far lower labor costs. But our factories have hit a pause on automation and adding robots, while China is going the other way. When we account for wages and production costs, Europe and the United States are installing far fewer robots than expected. That's what a number under 100% means on this graph. But China is installing over 12 times more robots than you'd expect, given China's manufacturing and labor costs. We'll start at home with the Wall Street Journal. Business is slowing down, so factory managers are buying fewer robots. Orders for robots dropped a third in 2023, and in the first half of 2024, they continue to fall. Industrial production isn't growing, it's flat, and in appliances and in the heavy-duty segments, factory activity is falling. The journal profiled a few companies. Athena Manufacturing added 7 robots a few years ago, but then their order book fell and they've added only 1 since. This Cleveland company saw a 3/4 drop in sales, and so they don't see a point in investing further in robots. In China, it's a different story though. China is the factory of the world, and it's widely understood that robotics, automation, are significant threats to that going forward. If robots are widely available and affordable across the world, managers would prefer to manufacture in their own local economies rather than buy product from China. So it's an urgent imperative for China to develop robots themselves and thereby learn how to build them, how to maintain them, how to capture the supply chains for the raw materials and the components and the technologies to build those. In other words, China's plans for their robotics industry are not intended to replace Chinese workers now. They're intended to replace our workers in the future. And by doing the same thing in supply chains for robotics that they've done for everything else, it's going to be impossible for anyone else to catch up. Germany and Japan thus far lead this industry, but China is catching up fast. China is the world's largest buyer of robots, with more than half of all the robots in the world working here. Recently, China became a global leader in new patents for robots, but China is, for now, still dependent on foreign firms, especially in software. And because this is the biggest market for robots, the rest of the world combined adds up to less than China. Most of the Western companies are doing business here. This is another industry paper. IoT is the Internet of Things. Their report out today, 70% of robot installations in Asia, China's 51%, and China has the largest robot stock in the world. Double-digit industry growth is expected for the next several years. The central government issued specific guidance and goals for the Chinese robotics industry and provided tax incentives and financing to make it go. It's called the Robotics Plus Action Plan and will accelerate application of these technologies across industries. Supply chain again. Chinese planners want to control the global supply of components by next year and achieve global dominance of humanoid robots by 2027. Chinese do build robots, and the advantage to Chinese systems for now is on cost. We can call this the "don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good" strategy, and this drives the price down for Chinese factory managers. It also allows for robots to be developed across wider ranges of applications. This is a Canadian paper, and it's asking how the United States and Canada can survive in this space. The US still leads in software design, but 73% of the robots are in operation right here. It's in Asia where the robots are actually used and where software engineers can see in real time what improvements are necessary and make those improvements. Chinese innovation moves faster because of how their industrial policies work, co-locating research and industry, and deploying capital accordingly. The Diplomat looked into the supply chain issues for robotics and found that the chains for intelligent electric vehicles are very similar to those in robotics. Many of the components and technologies are the same. Artificial intelligence software, high quality, long lasting batteries, sensors. Think here of the LiDAR systems in a car, but applied instead to robotics to make the machines aware of the things going on around them. Then the computer chips, and finally the different motors throughout the system. This report is from 2 years ago, 2022 December, and it's a clever formulation that explains how China's supply chain dominance in electric vehicle production translates right away into similar advantages for robots. Blue bars are China, gold is US. China has huge advantages in batteries, sensors, and servo motors. That's the hardware then, the nuts and bolts of what we need to build a robot. AI and computer chips are where China needs to make up some ground, but the point here is to show that China is almost there if they want to dominate the manufacturing chain for robots. The good enough strategy on the features ensures low pricing and high sales, which means that Chinese companies will be profitable at lower price points than industry competitors from Europe or Japan. China's heavy investment in electric vehicles has generated competition in all these technical areas. When this report was written, this part of it was a prediction, and today it's a reality. China now has lots of production capacity for electric vehicles, and the rapid declines in pricing is what we're seeing now for electric cars. And this is likely what's coming for robots too, but with one critical difference. The robots China builds, they're not going to be exported. Chinese robots cost just 20% compared to the robots built by European or Japanese brands, and that's right now. They already have those cost advantages, but China's not exporting. Xiaogong Song is head of the China Robot Industry Alliance. Chinese robot exports are very limited. Fewer than 5% of China's robots are exported. That's a strong indication about what China's policymakers want for their robotics industry. Think again about those factory managers in the United States who say that robots are not a good investment now, that their orders are down. What if they could buy robots at just a fourth of the cost though? That math would be really different if they could buy 3 or 4 robots from China for the price of 1 from Japan or Germany. Chinese robots would be a great investment then, and Chinese robots in US factories would dramatically improve US factory efficiency. Chinese robot manufacturers know that too. So there's another objective here. China wants those Chinese robots at work in Chinese factories instead of in ours. This is Fisherman's Wharf in Dalian, Liaoning. Be good.
Father, thank you for this precious brother who has come. Thank you for making him a man of integrity and honor and wisdom. Thank you for making him a brother. Empower him. Fill him with your Holy Spirit.